Hey, welcome to the World Warriors of Capcom Cup Player Showcase. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. This is the series of videos where we go over all of the 32 qualifiers for the Capcom Cup that's going to be taking place at the Sony PlayStation Experience on December 5th through 6th. Now, if you guys aren't aware of the long road that was the Capcom Pro Tour of 2015 or what Capcom Cup exactly is, definitely check out the introduction video that we made, also found on this channel. It's going to be on youtube.com/Capcom Fighters TV. But as I said, this is the series of videos where we talk about the players, and so who do we have up next?
We're going to talk about RB, RZR RB.
That's right.
And when he was picked up, there was some confusion.
A lot of people were surprised.
He is a good player, but hasn't quite had the track record or the public appearances.
Yes.
Which I think is the big thing that some other people have had. Now, it's not the case that he's a new player. Okay.
Right.
Not the case. At EVO 2010, he got 13th.
Right. And in fact, at EVO 2010, I still remember. So that was the year that GamerBee made his big splash.
Yes.
Right? And that's what put GamerBee on the map. But I remember before that, before GamerBee and anyone had heard of GamerBee, everyone kept saying, there's this player from Taiwan that you have that we've heard is really good. And his name is RB. And he's been a great player since EVO 2010. And in fact, he finished 13th at that tournament.
Indeed.
And so, again, a very strong player. And when he was signed, a lot of people were surprised, as you mentioned, because he just hasn't quite gotten the publicity that I feel like a lot of players have had.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can see the kind of strength that a player like RB has when, for example, at E3 earlier this year, it was one of the first times Street Fighter V was publicly playable.
Right.
And there was all these team tournaments. So, you know, basically it was like Team EG versus Team Mad Cats. One of the teams was Team RZR.
Right. And it's, you know, top level players from Japan, North America.
Right. This is Daigo,
many of the best
Mago,
players.
Tokido, you know, Momochi, all these guys here are all learning the game for the first time. And RB, who just got signed to Team RZR because he showed up as part of Team RZR there, he picked up Birdie. He blew everybody up in the team tournament.
Yeah.
Like, he just went through everybody.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just a good indication of just how fast he picks up a lot of characters. And in fact, he's used a lot of different characters.
Yeah, so far this year he's used Rolento, Guy, and Hugo. In fact, he was one of the first top-level players who I saw take Hugo seriously. Now quite a few people do, but he was one of the first that made that happen. And with Guy and with Rolento, you know, he was, I think, one of the best guys. It seems like it's more Rolento now.
Right. So in 2010, he was known as a Guy player.
Right.
So he had been a Guy player this whole entire time. Tried Hugo, like you said, but he seems to have fallen onto Rolento.
Well, I really like his Rolento. It's a different kind of Rolento than some other kinds that we see. It's much, you know, to call it slow is not right, but comparatively speaking, it's a little bit slower than some other Rolentos.
Look, obviously, the cornerstone is Nemo, right? So a lot of people are going to mention Nemo, and Nemo is pretty kinetic. Now, RB plays it a very, very deliberate style, and a very intentional style. It's kind of like a careful Rolento, and it's nice though. It's very precise, and he plays it kind of, I want to say, you know, like, I want to call it the thinking man's Rolento.
You know, I think it has this interesting mix of playing in that way that you're talking about, but also of having hard reads sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he'll go in with unsafe EX options. Sometimes he'll go, as we'll see it, like double overhead for some reason. He just has these hard reads.
Right.
But they often work out. And it's important to be able to mix up between those two things.
That's right, yeah. And I just noticed, I mean, maybe is he a Final Fight fan here? Going from Guy, Hugo, Rolento.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have played Cody at some point.
Right,
Poison, I don't know. But
well, he has had, you know, some success this year. So since Ultra came out, he got second at Hong Kong Esports 2014, Taiwan CPT 9th, Southeast Asia Majors, one of the most packed tournaments of the year, 2015, 9th. He got 9th at FV Cup 2015. He got 3rd at the Milan Games Week.
Yes.
Which is the video that we're gonna see. So, you know, those results are not first, second place, but they're the results, I think, of somebody who is now traveling more,
right,
and is getting more exposure to things. Again, he's not a new player at all, and I don't want to make it seem like he is, but I do get the sense that there has been a little bit less exposure than there could have been so far for him.
I mean, one of the themes of this year, just of the Capcom Pro Tour completely, is just that so many more players have been able to have the opportunity to travel more.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been getting around, and we've seen this even within the United States. There's a lot of players who are very good in SoCal or very good in NorCal or New York, and then they travel and they just haven't been able to quite live up to that kind of thing. Yeah. Traveling is very important, and now that RB has been sponsored by RZR, so prior to 2015, we didn't get to see much of him that much. He did not travel as much.
Right.
But now that he is sponsored, like you said, he's been to all these different events, and I feel like he's definitely coming into his own as a player. And like we said in 2010, it's kind of an interesting thing. You don't always. I'm sure there's no rivalry between him and GamerB, but he was coming in as like that Taiwanese player. Yeah. And then GamerB just exploded after that. And so, I don't know, if he feels like sometimes he's kind of in the shadow of GamerB or if he's chasing GamerB. But, like I said, he's definitely coming to his own. He's definitely starting to make a name for himself. And in this tournament, this tournament was full of a lot of very strong players here.
At the Milan Games Week, yeah, there were players. So, of course, he's from Taiwan. This is in Milan, Italy. But there were players there from East Asia, but many of the best players from Europe were there as well. A very strong scene. And, in fact, RB got through a couple of them.
Right.
He got through Luffy. He got through Reinhardt.
That's right. And we're going to watch the match where he does go up against Luffy. Yeah. But, Luffy has had a stellar 2015. He's had a stellar Capcom Pro Tour. He's been winning like all the Europe tournaments. And, to have RB come in here with Rolento and be able to defeat Luffy says a lot about the way he plays. And like I said, that's the match that we're going to end up watching.
Well,
so
let's hop in there.
Sure.
Let's check it out.
No problem.
So again, when you're watching his style, just sort of pay attention to where he moves and how he moves, and sort of how he blocks and that stuff, because it is a little bit different than some other Rolentos. You see, when he goes up there, when he rolled up there, it wasn't the immediate movement again. It was sort of, let's see what's happening. Okay,
right.
All right, let's reset it. That's, again, just like this. Not always doing something. He picks his spots.
Yeah, he definitely plays a little more careful. I don't want to say defensive, because that's not exactly true, but you can see that he definitely plays a lot more cautious. And he plays very careful. He picks his moments. But the nice thing about it is Rolento's the kind of character that, because he has all these different options for movement and such like that, you can kind of play that way. You know what I mean? Because when you're careful, then you can try this. And then you're careful, and you can try this kind. Or you can, since all of his moves are two parts, you can always activate one and then wait to see what happens on the reaction part. And that's kind of how RB plays. You'll see him roll and then stop. And then he'll hop back and see if there's anything to do. You know what I mean? Or he'll go for the stinger and wait to see how the opponent reacts before he does the follow-ups. So Luffy with a good start there.
Yeah, for sure.
But you'll see, spoiler alert, but this goes very one-sided towards RB.
It ends up being that way, yeah, exactly.
So you can see how he's making the adjustment as the match keeps going. And at first, he's having a little bit of trouble here.
Ooh.
But there he goes. Great read on that fireball.
I think that was zone reaction. That seemed really good.
Yeah.
Perfect spot for the anti-air right there. Oh, of course, using jump fierce, why not?
And he goes for the reset in the middle of that combo. You'll see it a little bit. I don't...
Oof. I love the timing on that hop. All right, that's what we're talking about, right? That double overhead. It's not like he's taking a big risk in doing that. It's just something that you very rarely see. That's why it's considered a harder read, just because it's uncommon.
And the reason why it's funny to point that out is because a little bit later on, we're actually going to see he tries it again.
Yeah. So you see, he seems to be getting a little bit more of a handle on when Luffy likes to move. I feel like that's a big part of this. Just understanding when Luffy likes to take an action.
Yeah, and you see right there, even though we say he's the careful Rolento, you see him just challenge Ultra 2. You're going to see that again. Luffy's going to activate later on, and he just will not stop jab poking at him, But see, this is what I mean. He kind of stays away, and he stays very, he's trying to see what the opponent's doing and react that way.
I like that Rolento's jump medium actually beat EX anti-air grab. Yeah, again, you see what I mean? He's getting the timing on when Luffy likes to do things, and that I really feel like that's a big part of his read that works out for him in this match.
Now, I don't know if it was just because he was using Birdie at E3, and Birdie is a troll, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
But the way he was beating people up with Birdie at E3 almost kind of makes me feel like there's that side of him, maybe. And we'll see that in just a little bit. There's one point where he just goes for like 5 overheads in a row just because he feels like it, you know? So I'm not sure if that's accurate about him or not, but we'll see that in just a little bit. But here we go. So I think this is where he just challenges the orbs a little bit.
Yeah, he does a really good job of just, you know, playing away. Yeah, again, it was the perfect timing for that stuff. And it's hard to deal with that if your opponent's getting that. It doesn't really matter what the character matchup is. If your opponent knows when you're going to do something, he tries it again. If your opponent knows when you're going to do something, they're going to beat you.
Oh, man, and there it is right there. Perfect, slipping right through the jump attack with the hop back.
Very good hitbox on that move.
Yeah, and just the startup of it being like really invulnerable in weird ways is
again, he's getting that.
And that's not safe on block either. So if it gets blocked, he can get punished for it. So, you know, it's definitely a bigger risk than... It's a risk to just kind of throw it out there like that. But
I think he's reacting to the fireball.
Right. Yeah. But he is doing it at the right times against the fireball.
So now the question is, what does Luffy even do in the neutral game? He's just been throwing fireballs, but Rose's traditional area where she likes to be is in mid-range. Oh,
and
that's
what
so
a
good.
bait. Yeah, he saw Luffy whiff it once earlier, and then immediately in his mind was like, don't whiff it again.
So even now, whiffing that kind of stuff is off limits against RB Rolento for Luffy.
Watch this, poke.
Yeah, you see, he sees when the orbs are going around. When is it safe to press jab? Oh, here you go.
Yep. And wow, great awareness. Just to hit him out of the air, set up that free juggle. They usually land pretty fast there, so you had to... That's one thing I will say about RB's play is I feel like he has a really good awareness of the situation. He seems to adapt really well. Like, when you watch his Rolento, there doesn't seem to be one fixed game plan. He seems to be kind of swerving in and out and adjusting really well. And I really do like that. He seems to be really aware of the situation and is able to get good conversions. And, oh, here we go. Combos into the corner.
Ooh, option select. I like it.
Here we go. Overhead.
Yeah, those are safe.
Overhead.
And they're not plus off.
Overhead.
You know, she can do something in there, but...
That's what I mean. It's like there's that part of his gameplay that sometimes I wonder,
that was so tricky. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
What a good round.
And just,
like if he wasn't completely in Luffy's head before, if he hadn't completely flustered Luffy, I think he had it.
Yeah,
but if he hadn't before, then that especially.
Yeah, and
really
that's one of those reads.
opponent.
Like, you know, when he Ultra 2'd the whiff reflect, for example, like that, you know you're getting into your opponent's head. And you know that's what opens up those 4 overheads in a row. And then you just keep keep piling it on at that point in time. You see Luffy dropping a few combos now. Yeah, but you see how he rolls up and then he just stops and waits. He really wants to see.
He saw Luffy trying to do stuff, and he came up right close and said, "You can't just do stuff. You know, I can be whenever or wherever I want to be."
Yeah, nice empty jump. Goes for it again. Gets a second throw. So yeah, now he's got this good little offensive pressure.
All right, so Luffy wants to try to challenge now. Wants to try to use something. With Ultra 2, try to do something.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't get it. Again, perfect timing on RB's side.
Oh, no, he tried to anti-air and just didn't work.
Yes.
Just didn't work. And so, yeah, RB, this was actually a little bit earlier in the top 8. He wins this match against Luffy there. You see RB on the left.
Yes.
He wins this match. He then goes on, I believe, to defeat Ryan Hart in the tournament. He gets to basically the third place match, and that's where he eventually loses, and he ends up in third place.
But because the 2 people above him had already qualified for the Capcom Cup, that meant by the rules that as third place, he's the next qualifier.
Right, and the other 2 players, by the way, were Bonchan. Oh no, wait, no, that's
No, it was Team RZR, if I recall correctly.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right. You're right.
It was Shin and Fudo.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it was Shin and Fudo. That's what it was. Yeah. So 2 extremely strong players. So definitely nothing to to be sad about.
Some of the best players in the world.
So wow, RZR got first, second, and third.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a big moment in Milan for that team. That's very impressive. Their entire roster is in the Capcom Cup. That's pretty good.
That's right. Yeah, but again, I mean, RB, you can see the way that he plays. Again, it's just like I said, awareness. It's my favorite word right now for that. He's just really good at adapting to the situation. We saw how in the first round he got bullied, and then in the second round it started badly for him, and then he just turned it around. All of a sudden, just did this gob of damage, and then he just never looked back. And he knew when he was getting the frustration into Luffy. And Luffy, by the way, is not a player who gets frustrated very easily at all. And the fact that he was able to kind of sense that in Luffy and understand that it looked like Luffy was starting to get lost in the matchup. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure what to do, and to take advantage of that, I mean, that's just the mark of a very strong player.
I agree. So when it comes to Capcom Cup, what do you think is an obstacle in his way? What's something that he could do better at?
I mean, it's tough because obviously RB doesn't have the experience as a lot of these other guys for traveling all over the place. Yeah. He's been doing it this year, so that's great. Right. But as you mentioned, we saw a lot of 9th places and such like that, So I feel like that might be a problem for him. This is a big stage. This is a lot of very strong players there. It's going to be easy to get swallowed up in this situation.
Yeah.
And it's just experience for me. So
I will say when it comes to his strengths, I think that one of the things is that I think people will underestimate him.
Yeah.
I think that they'll not have him scoped out quite as much as people who go to or who have been going to tons of tournaments, across the globe, which is a lot of, as you said, a lot of people are traveling nowadays. So I feel like that'll be sort of a strength, an advantage that he'll have in a sense.
Yeah, he's good enough to beat just about anybody, right? And so if a lot of people out there, they're going to be spending a lot of time going, okay, look, let me study up on how to fight Momochi. Let me study up on how to fight Daigo. Oh, look, Tokido is playing more defensive. Let me study up on this. They might just overlook RB. And that's definitely going to be a really, really good way for him to slip in there, especially since he's using Rolento. Mm-hmm. And maybe if he busts out a surprise Hugo, because Hugo has caused some Japanese players problems before.
Hugo is a good character, right? He is not bad.
We've seen Vi beat Bonchan with the character with Hugo. We've seen Infectious beat Tokido with Hugo and such like that. If RB can play this Rolento and then maybe even sneak in a Hugo and surprise some people from time to time, depending on the matchup. Exactly, he could really slip in there and really surprise a lot of people.
That said, to be frank, I do view it as kind of a long shot for him. I feel like he's one of the underdogs going into this.
Yeah.
And part of that is looking at those results and seeing 9th places. Mm-hmm. The other part of it is just I know he hasn't traveled quite as much as other people. I mean, look, he went to Milan, which is on the other side of the world from where he's from, and he got 3rd place. So it's not a conclusive sort of thing. Right. But I do feel that it's going to be an uphill road.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously not established himself as a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be tough for him. It is going to be tough. I know probably when a lot of people look at the brackets, they're not going to pick him as one of the people who is going to have a great chance with this. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. Okay. But the problem with it is it's like, I know it's just hard to even fathom that 8 players are going to go 0-2 at this event.
Yes, right? 8 players will go winless and be eliminated.
And
that's true.
It's like
it's how the bracket works.
It's like that's impossible. But when you think of it that way, there are some players that you're just going to naturally assume like have a bigger chance of ending up in that area. You know, I know a lot of people are probably going to put RB in there, but I think RB has the potential to surprise a lot of people.
Okay. Well, we'll see. That's going to be at the Capcom Cup the weekend of December 5th through 6th at the PlayStation Experience. It will be live streamed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be on twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters.
That's right. And you can also follow them on Twitter at twitter.com/Capcom Fighters to keep track of everything Capcom Pro Tour until Capcom Cup shows up. So, yeah, make sure you follow all them on Twitch, especially just so as soon as it starts, you know, you'll get the chance to, you'll be able to catch every second of it.
And if you like this sort of stuff where we talk about players and matchups and analysis and videos, then you should check our stream out, which is at Twitch and YouTube/UltraChenTV.
That's right. We go through all sorts of high-level tactics, a lot of beginner videos. We talk about fighting game community stuff. Every Tuesday, we have the Tuesday show where we do recaps, just like give you all of your FGC information condensed into one neat little show at night. So definitely check that out. You can also follow us on Twitter at UltraChenTV.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.